Hello and welcome to this week's Hernando County Professionals Week in Review. I'd like to go over a couple of the things that have been going on the Hernando Business Professionals website and the BROOKSVILLEbusiness.com website, which are combined websites that work together. The Hernando Tourism website that I've created is called BROOKSVILLEbusiness.com. A friend of mine, Dan Byrne, I've worked with before, back when the Brooksville Business Alliance was active. And he was a member with the Dairy Queen that he runs on Route 41 in Brooksville, asked me how I first got involved with tourism. And the truth is that I started out with tourism when I came down here. The first thing I did when I got down here to visit my mom and my stepfather, who died, and then I stayed on to take care of my mom, and she recently died as well. The first thing I did was look around and say, this is like where I grew up on Staten Island. I remember a town very close to where I lived. I lived in Eltingville, and there was nothing going on. It's the south shore of Staten Island, which is the furthest from Manhattan of the borough. Staten Island is a primarily Republican borough as well. There are very few Democrats living on Staten Island, except those people who are nestled around the ferry boat area that takes them into Manhattan. Other than that, Staten Island is primarily Republican in nature, and as such, we would receive the least services from the city because it wasn't to the benefit of the administration, which was Democrat running the other four boroughs, to allocate funding to a Republican borough if they didn't have to. So we always got the oldest buses, we always got the lousiest of everything that was left over. But the point was that it was pretty much a natural borough. I remember growing up where there was a lake across the street from my home when I grew up on Koch Boulevard and Richmond Avenue. Richmond Avenue at that time was a dirt road, and it hadn't been paved yet. Koch Boulevard was paved, but it wasn't a major thoroughfare. It was a narrow area. We could cross the street. I remember as a child playing with the animals across the street that lived in the woods, and skating with my sisters. In the wintertime, we'd go out and walk around and find the lakes that were frozen over, and there were no homes in the area where we lived except for just a very few. And I remember growing up and the changes that happened when the tractors were coming. A little boy hearing the tractors off in the distance, and as a child thinking that they were dinosaurs. I knew they weren't dinosaurs, but they sounded like dinosaurs roaring off someplace off far away, and I didn't know what they were. And then the next summer I would hear them closer. And eventually I figured out that they were tractors. And they were chainsaws, and they were cutting down all the trees, and they were building and building. And then came the row houses, that kind of, not really row houses, but the small houses that were the cookie cutter houses, one after the other. And then people moved in, I didn't know, and the neighborhood changed, and all of the nature that was there was gone. The lakes and the rocks and the forests and all of the wildlife disappeared. You know, I grew up with butterflies, monarch butterflies and other butterflies, with lots of caterpillars, with grasshoppers, with praying mantises, with ladybugs. My mom was an avid gardener, and she had all kinds of flowers and all kinds. My father planted corn in the backyard. We grew corn, we grew tomatoes, we grew strawberries. We had all kinds of things growing on our property, and we had a rock garden, and we had. Oh, it was just a beautiful, beautiful environment, and I grew up in that kind of an environment. So when I hit Hernando County, I saw so much that reminded me of where I grew up, and I wanted to become a part of keeping that alive, and that was one of the reasons why I decided if we can keep it alive through tourism and getting more people to come and see and enjoy it the way it is, then we can kind of put a halt to destroying it through overdevelopment, because yes, overdevelopment will produce money for certain people who are on the end of approving projects and so forth. But what we want to do is make money yet keep Hernando. So we either make money keeping it the way it is, or in order to keep it as it is, we stop everything else from happening here and keep it poor. And that's a really sad thing. So what I do here the best that I can, working with Hernando Tourism, taking their schedule and reproducing it and adding to it, and then going out and finding the people that are behind it and producing some background stories on things happening in Hernando on the HernandoBusinessProfessionals.com website, is to bring it to the fore and make people find it when they look for something to do in the Nature Coast and along the Sun Coast in Florida for the vacation periods. And that's why I'm involved with tourism, because I really believe that we can do that and still preserve what we have and yet make sure a lot of people come here and see what we have to offer and build to offer even more. That's a very important point about how to actually sustain ourselves, our own businesses, without having to constantly struggle and go broke. All right, so Dan also did ask me about what was going on with my looks. Why, I look grayer now. I've lost some weight, and he asked me if I was okay. The answer to those two questions is yes, I'm fine. I don't have anything wrong with me. But I did have some gallbladder issues, and the question was go to the hospital and have it removed, or simply stay away from the foods that are killing me. And I decided to stay away from all the foods that are killing me, the glutens, the popcorn and the kettle corn. I hate to say it, I love kettle corn, but stay away from it, and don't drink too much red wine. Stay away from nuts, which is really kind of like that and a few other things. And I've been doing that, and I've been losing weight. I feel great. Okay. As far as my hair color, I've actually gone a little grayer because I stopped dyeing my hair. And that's because my wife and a good couple of friends of mine, actually a very good friend of mine, told me to dye my hair. And this was years ago, and I hate doing that. But, women are women, and you kind of listen to them. And, now I think at least half of them, my wife, I'm not sure about, definitely my friend, Monique, Tampa Agricultural Products, has told me, I'm glad you're finally letting your hair go gray. And that's a true thing. I really do need to stop doing that. So that takes care of that. Now, the Brooksville Business website is really a highly user-friendly site. And I tout this every single week when I get on here. I tell you guys, the reason why I think the Hernando Tourism website's a great site is because it's so friendly to the users who are coming down here to find things to do and to find resources that they'll need while they're here that are unique. When I went to Germany, and I've been to Germany 3 times, and total of about, I'd say 6 weeks one time and 4 weeks another time, and a couple of weeks, maybe about 2 months altogether. The one thing I hated was coming back on an airplane with a German, memorabilia piece and flipping it upside down and saying, wait a minute, this is made in China. I want people who are doing things, coming down to Florida or coming here from Europe, and they're going to buy something as a piece of America, as a piece of Florida. I was in Florida. To go back home with something that was really made in Florida, that really comes from our state, that was really manufactured right here, and then they can be proud to put that on their mantelpiece and hold that in honor and say, that's from Florida, I was there. So I want to be able to help people who are producing the local artwork, who are producing the local macrame, or in the case of, for instance, a person I did some work for this week, a-stitchintime.net, a-stitchintime.net. I did some work on her website, and she produces local pieces of work that people can purchase right here, and it's from Florida. Something that people can take home with them, and they can say, I got this, it's made in Florida, it's made by a Floridian, or somebody living in Florida now anyway. And it's something that is from Brooksville or from Hernando, and that's where I stayed. So for those reasons, I get excited about helping out the local people they may not have the biggest businesses, and certainly I could work for bigger businesses and become a corporate centerpiece to their network and do work for them on their website and dedicate all my time to helping them. But instead, I'd rather help out the tourists that are coming to the area and help out the hundreds of people who need help developing their own websites, whether it be a local website or something else. But for the time being, until something else better comes along and I move back to New York City, I will be working down here and helping to develop tourism and make sure that works. So I hope somebody will be able to take over the website when I leave. Right now, I'm not sure if anybody's really interested. So this week I worked on TampaAgriculturalProducts.com, which is a site that I did some SEO on to help it to do better in the rankings. I did some work on stitchintime.net, some work on Keith's Hot Wheels, which is .com, which is on Route 41. He does excellent body work and paint jobs, and he absolutely is excellent at restoring old cars. If you've got an old car, I don't care how old it is, if you've got something that you need to be restored and you have it lying, sitting in the backyard, and it's got missing pieces, or it's got something you think it can't be restored anymore, call Keith at Hot Wheels, keithshotwheels.com, and he'll help you out with that. I also am the official webmaster, web guy for the CHINSEGUT and I recently updated some of the featured items that are going to be available for the silent auction taking place there for their celebration coming up very soon. So go to CHINSEGUTHillcelebration.org and you'll be able to see the link underneath this video to go there and check it out and see what's going on with that. That should be a really exciting thing because it's this is the first annual celebration, but there'll be more. All right. All right. Aside from that, I guess I can't really say Dan Byrne was real good to be talking to me about doing some work with him, possibly on a project he's working on. I'd like to be able to feature him. I'd like to be able to feature the chef over there at Hernando High School, at the Culinary Institute, and put him on the Brooksville Business Professionals website. I'd like to be able to deal a little bit maybe with Sonny Vergara and put something about him and his artwork and what he does on the Hernando County Professionals website as well. I don't know if I'll actually get around to doing all of the things I want to do because I spend so much time working indoors, and I'll tell you, half the day goes by and I don't get out and try to contact the people I should be contacting because I need 3 people. I need one guy to do sales for any kind of sales that I might want to do. For instance, I'm selling banners. If you want a banner on the website by the month, $25, $200 for a year. That's $100 savings, and that's a link with a map. If you want a splash page or some photos embedded, and your video, we can do video. I'll talk to you about a rate for that, depending on what you want to have done. So just take a look at the BrooksvilleBusiness.com website, though, first of all, and just see what's going on there. And then understand that we get hundreds of page views a day, sometimes more than that, great deals, depending upon what's happening in tourism. So you're going to see your banner up there on the top of the page if it's a major event, on the side along the bottom, along the side of the weekly events, all the way down. The more I get, the better, and people will be able to come to your business and see what you've got to offer, and I can tailor those to whatever requirements you need. Unlike a lot of the sites that go national or that people don't actually go to or there's no interest in, the site that I have is actually something that people will click out on and go to your websites to see. So thanks, and that's my Hernando County Business Professionals Week in Review for this week. Thanks.